How to meditate. It's one of those things that people find very hard to get into because there's so many techniques out there. And I'm going to teach you today a very simple, basic technique, really, something to get you started. And then we can, in other videos, explore some of the more complicated, perhaps more detailed techniques. Now, first of all, if you're going to learn to meditate, you need to approach it with the right frame of mind, really. I mean, the whole idea of meditation is to escape from that daily mind. You know, that mind that is constantly racketing on all the time with one thought after another. So you're kind of like swept along by your thoughts. So what we do in meditation is use very simple techniques, really, to, in a way, separate ourselves from that stream of thoughts, to be the person that observes these thoughts going through your mind rather than being tangled up with thoughts or emotions or memories or fears or upsets. Because when we can do that, we are in a way free. Okay, so that's what we're going to attempt to do. So first of all, you have to, with meditation, find a regular time to meditate. Now, because everybody has different routines, you may set a time that is best for you. I prefer first thing in the morning when I get up. I'm self-employed, so I can choose my time easily, but you may set a time in the morning or maybe in the evening. I think the morning is the best time because your mind is fresh then and you're kind of awake. You haven't got worries and troubles. You've got things to think about in the head, but you haven't got all the problems of the day crowding in on your mind. So I like the morning. If you can, it's good to do a meditation in the morning and in the evening. And you won't start to get the benefits of meditation unless you really do it every day or as many days as you can. I tend not to meditate on Sunday. I say I have at least one day off where I don't do anything spiritual, which is my Sunday. Kind of the reverse of a lot of people. Don't put pressure on yourself that you have to meditate. I have to meditate because it's got to be a pleasure. It's got to be something you want to look forward to, something you want to do. So set yourself a regular time. Now, how long? Now, if you're just starting out in meditation, it would be unrealistic to sit for half an hour or an hour of meditation at a time. Your mind will rebel. So I would suggest that you start off with a meditation of, say, about 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening if you can. Now, that's not a lot of time to have to give to this, but even that will give you some good results. Also, you don't want to be worrying about, how long have I been meditating? Have I been here too long? When's it going to start and when's it going to finish and all things like that. So maybe you could set a timer. Set your mobile phone maybe for 5 minutes with a gentle sound to wake you up from it. This will stop your mind throughout saying, worrying about how long you sat, so you can actually get into the meditation. And then extend it, maybe then turn it to 10 minutes. 20 minutes is probably a pretty good time for most people who've got used to meditation. 20 minutes is actually quite a long time just to sit. So if you can do 20 minutes meditation, not bad. Actually, a lot of people use a joss stick, which takes about 20 minutes to burn, and so they have a joss stick in the room. But as long as that doesn't distract, you don't want any distractions around. Now, that also means things like music. Sitting with music playing as you're meditating, like some people like to do, is not meditation. That's relaxation. And also listening to a voice taking you through beautiful landscapes and things, that's not meditation. That's a kind of a visualization. That's something different. So you want a completely clean environment in that respect. You might have a candle there, if you can have somewhere separate to your living room. If there's noise in the background that's not so good, try to find somewhere quiet if you can. And how do you sit? Now, if you've got something like back problems or you find it very difficult to sit on the floor, but then sit on a seat. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not about what's happening externally. You don't have to be the great yogi. You can just sit very simply on a seat if you need to. But the important thing is to try to keep your back straight, right? Because that will help the energy in the spine to move around. But that's for another lesson. So sit comfortably so you can have your back straight. That's usually sat on the floor if you can, so that you're in a comfortable position with an upright spine. I wouldn't recommend that you do meditation laying down. You can do this sort of techniques. There are some techniques that are specifically designed to lay down in meditation, such as yoga, niyasana and nidra. But the problem with laying down is you're likely to fall asleep. Your mind will go into the routine of dropping into a sleep state. So don't lay down, I would suggest. It's better just to sit on the floor with your legs crossed. You don't have to go sitting in full lotus position. That's where the feet are on top of the calves. No, you can sit just simply basic cross-legged like you would have done at school when you're at school, you know. And have a cushion if you need it. It's better. Most Westerners find it very hard to sit on the floor for a long period of time. So make yourself as comfortable as possible. You might prop your knees up as well as sit on something as well. So as long as you're comfortable, the objective is to forget about the body. Now, when you move into meditation, it might take you a few minutes just to even let the mind settle down. Just sitting with your eyes closed is not strictly meditation, that's sitting with your eyes closed. We need to focus ourselves. Now, without going into Indian terms, there are really two things that you do. You do concentration and meditation. Now, the concentration part is not like when you're concentrating on doing something like playing a video game or concentrating on working out a mathematical problem or something. No, the concentration that's used in meditation is really the idea of keeping the mind focused. It's stopping the mind running off and wandering all over the place. I mean, that's nice to do sometimes, and there are techniques in meditation where the mind is allowed to wander. But for the beginner and for the beginning of most meditations, we need to have a certain amount of control on our mind. Now, in India, they use lots of different techniques to stop the mind running off. You know, this is why they use things like a repeated phrase, what they call a mantra, because that keeps the mind on the mantra. Sometimes they use something in front of you, something visually, like a yantra, which is like a design, to keep the mind coming back to that thing. Now, the reason we do this, the reason we need to keep the focus is because then our energy becomes like laser sharp. It becomes focused like the power of the light in a laser. It becomes very strong. But we don't do it by any means of force. We do it by simply, it's a bit like training a puppy dog, you know. You take it back to the litter tray every time it goes and poos somewhere it shouldn't poo. So you bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. You don't beat it or hit it, you just keep taking it back, and it gradually learns, that's the place I go to do my poos, right? So we train the mind in a similar way. Hopefully that image will stay with you. Not too vividly, I hope, but you know, you're going to train the mind to come back. You just keep pulling it back. So if the mind wanders off, we pull it back. Now, the most simple form of meditation we can do is usually called nowadays mindfulness. That's not the original name of it, but let's call it mindfulness. And that is keeping the mind focused on something in a kind of being in the present, being in the now, just there, focused and sat. Now, we all have something absolutely brilliant that we can use to focus the mind, and that is simply the breath. Now, when you sit in meditation, your breathing will naturally slow down. And the idea of mindfulness breath meditation is to keep bringing the attention back to the breath. So all you basically have to do, and the Buddha said this was enough in Buddhism, that all you have to do is simply watch the breath. Which in a lot of ways sounds very boring and very dull thing to do, but actually when you really get into it, you begin to realise that watching the breath is a very, very powerful thing. Because what you are doing is you are watching your life, you're watching every breath that comes as you being born again, every outward breath is you dying, every turn of the breath is a special point where the mind is in a very special state. Now that's going into other things. But by simply watching the breath, we uncover and unlock amazing things in ourselves. Now, it's easy to want to start changing the breath, thinking, oh, I've got to slow it down a bit, or I'm breathing too fast, or I'm breathing too slow. Just important, let it go. Just let the breath be what it wants to be. Every time you come to meditation, you're going to be in a different frame of mind. Sometimes your breath might be active and not flowing nicely. Other times it might flow beautifully. Other times it might you might have to really work to keep the focus on the breath. You're going to have your eyes closed. You're going to be sat comfortably with your back straight, and you're going to simply sit there and watch the rise and fall of the breath. This is a form of concentration, first of all, because you're bringing the mind back, like I described that puppy dog idea. Your mind wanders off. Oh, what should I be doing today? Oh, I've got to do so-and-so. Oh, I haven't sent that letter. Oh, I've got to send that email. I've got to do this, got to do that. There'll be a whole thing's crowding in on you. Let it happen. Don't fight it. You know, it's there. But keep bringing the mind nonetheless back to just simply watching the breath. This is your time. You know, this is your time when you can be free of all those awful thoughts and emotions and feelings. Because to say to yourself, I can deal with that later. I can do all that later. I've only 5 minutes. 5 minutes. How long is that? I'm just going to sit and simply watch the breath for 5 minutes. You watch it rise. You watch it turn. You watch it fall again. You know, there's an amazing sort of sense of peace that can come with this. It's so simple. It's very, very easy indeed. Because in a way, it's a bit like I think the Buddha said that I can't remember who it was that said, but you know, in order to train the mind, the mind's like a wild monkey that runs everywhere. You know, so what you do in order to stop that monkey running everywhere, the sage taught the monkey to run up and down the pole. Right, so it runs up the pole, runs down the pole, runs up the pole, runs down the pole, and he's free. He doesn't have to worry about this wild monkey anymore. It's doing something. It's going up and down the pole all the time. Right, so that's what you're kind of doing with your mind. You're sending your mind up and down the breath. You know, the mind has now distracted enough for the real you to come through. And that's when we start to get into the interesting stuff, because who is that real you? Okay, so I'm going to keep it simple for this lesson. There's lots of other things we can do in our meditation. We can come to an understanding of who we really are and so on. But this is the basic, simple way for any ordinary person to start meditating. And frankly, you can do this type of meditation for the rest of your life and not explore any of the other things, and you'll still get plenty of benefits from it. The type of benefits you'll get will be peace of mind, firstly and mostly, because your mind has stopped running around of its own accord. You've become, for the first time in your life, the master of your own mind. And there's so much more we can do beyond this. Simple, easy. Begin that. Start with 5 minutes. As time progresses, extend it up to maybe 20 minutes. And then you can start adding to it if you want to with other things that I'll teach you in other lessons. And you can find other stuff, of course, on the internet too. So I hope that helps. Mindfulness, breath meditation. Very simple, very easy. But keep a routine. If you're going to start it, make sure you do it. You won't get the benefits for at least a month. And once you've done it for a month, you'll start to think, I'm a different person. I'm not so quick to anger. I'm not so quick to stress. I'm not so confused in my mind. Easy, simple exercise. And I hope you enjoyed that. I have discovered a secret oracle in India that has on it the name of my mother, the name of my father, my name, my brother's name, my wife's name, all the details about my life from the moment I was born and right into the future. And it even tells me the time of my death. And to access this oracle, all it needed was my thumbprint.
I'm here in India on my first mystic journey. In the UK and USA, Jane and I are known as the most psychic couple on the planet.
I really enjoyed the reading with Craig because he hit some real accuracies about my father and our relationship.
I've been a psychic medium for years. We have both had a fruitful life and seen many mystical things, but my trip to India has certainly opened even my eyes. As psychics, we have both been invited to do many TV shows about the paranormal, but what I'm about to experience in India is absolutely astonishing. So astonishing that even my wife Jane couldn't get her head round it. I have come to India to visit its temples and to do its rituals and change my fate. Everything the Oracle has told me about my life so far is astonishing. What it has to say is so mind-boggling that I feel compelled to make this crazy journey in order to undertake the magical remedies it prescribes. I want to find out if these nadi leaves are a myth or the real thing. And if so, maybe I can uncover their secrets and discover if they can help other people too. On this journey, I meet a holy man who sleeps in a raging fire and is claimed will live for hundreds of years. This Siddhi yogi never eats, lives in a cave, and few people ever get to meet him. I am guided by two astrologers that help me clear my karma and explain to me the rituals that I must undertake. I am stunned by the beautiful landscapes and overwhelmed by the magical temples and mystic places. I love the people and the animals of India. I am visiting places where few Westerners ever go. It's a cultural shock and spiritual awakening. I feel an overwhelming inner transformation. Will I find the guiding light I need? My search takes me thousands of miles across India's breathtaking landscapes, and I see magnificent things. To clear my karma, the Oracle has told me to do charitable work, undertake magical rituals and remedies. This is the adventure of a lifetime. This is my mystic journey.